Welcome back to Sunday Night in America. The Fed lowered interest rates by a little. Is there more to come? And how will Congress avoid more shutdown drama? Joining us is House Budget Chair Jody Arrington. Welcome, Mr. Chairman. Let's start with the economy as a whole. How do you assess it? And why did the Fed lower the borrowing rate this time but refused to do so previously?
Well, good to be with you, Trey. Let's start with the disastrous shutdowns during COVID and then layer onto that all of the stimulus that was shoveled into the marketplace through the Democrat ARPA, America Rescue Plan, quote unquote, the Inflation Reduction, quote unquote, that overstimulated demand vis-a-vis supply and created the worst cost of living crisis in a half a century. Now, complicit in that was the Federal Reserve buying up a bunch of Treasury, U.S. debt, and making the problem worse. So we're trying to stabilize the patient in order to rehabilitate the patient, and we're well on our way because we have greater economic output than we did last year. Our inflation rate is better than it was last year. And if you look at apples to apples in terms of the labor market, Trey, we're talking about native-born citizens. There's virtually no foreign-born citizens in our job numbers, and it's private sector jobs that should be leading our economic growth, not government jobs. And that's why the two sets of data are totally different. So it's the right thing for the Federal Reserve to do. They were late to the game early on. They were complicit, as I said, but they're going directionally on the right course, and I suspect they'll have another 25 basis points cut, not once but twice before the end of the year. So I think this is the right path.
You know, someone famous calls him Too Late Powell. I can't think of who it is, but someone does call him Too Late Powell. All right, you lived through it. I've lived through it. As an annual rite of passage for members of Congress, drama over a government shutdown. When it happens, it's bad. Then things reopen back up. I doubt it's going to happen. How will this be averted this time around? I mean, it's just the most recent iteration, Chairman. You live through it almost every year.
Well, your old colleague and my friend, Mr. Langford from Oklahoma, and I have a bill that would keep us on a continuing resolution at 2-week intervals and force Congress to stay in Washington and not return home until our job is done. And that's the way we ought to run the people's business. And in that scenario, we'd have the incentive to actually finish the work. Now, in this case, we're going through regular order. We've passed every appropriations bill out of committee. We're actually conferencing 3 with the Senate. And so we're talking about giving us, some time to finalize that negotiation for the discretionary budget of 2026. And the response from the Democrats is, no, we won't take a clean CR. We want you to increase spending by $1.4 trillion. And to do that, we want you to permanently extend the Obamacare tax credits that were supposed to be temporary COVID measures that will add $400 billion and a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse and increase the cost of health care. And we want you to repeal the reforms that you put in place in the big, beautiful bill that strengthened program integrity, didn't let people who were work capable to shirk their responsibility to work to receive social services, and a whole host of other measures against fraud and waste. It's unthinkable and ridiculous for Chuck Schumer to think that that's going to play well. But then again, they're very desperate because nothing's sticking. I see this as a political haymaker that will result in a Schumer shutdown 2.0.
Jody Arrington from the great state of Texas. Big jobs. If you're chairing budget and you're also on Ways and Means, that's a lot on somebody's plate. Thank you for joining us on a Sunday night. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Chairman.